Today is Saturday, June 19th, and this is Headers and Footers, the new UEFA Euro 2020 show from the Toronto Star. I'm your host, Brendan Dunlop. After a lackluster Friday, what a way to end match day 2. Super Saturday. It was must-watch TV. We got the game of the tournament, a must-win match in Munich for Germany against the defending European champions. Was must-watch TV from the start. There will be so many questions asked of Portugal coach Fernando Santos. We got plenty of answers about this German team after 90 minutes against Cristiano Ronaldo and company. Portugal started with the exact same defensively minded 11 that started in their opener against Hungary. But Portugal's defense was a mess throughout the entire game, right from the get-go. I mean, they were so fortunate to have that German goal called back just a few minutes into the match. We were very fortunate that Anthony Taylor didn't make us wait through a VAR review. I thought that was one of the biggest successes in the first few minutes of that game. Then Portugal caught Germany with a very well-worked counter-attacking team goal that Cristiano Ronaldo put in the back of the net. Very unselfish from Jota. Ronaldo now within 2 goals of tying the men's all-time goal-scoring record. He, nor anyone, will catch Canadian Christine Sinclair's all-time total of 186 goals. So that's pretty incredible for Canadian soccer. Thought the wheels were going to fall off for Germany after that. Honestly, I did. They had such a great start. Seemed like maybe it was ruined, but credit to the Germans. When Germany stuck to their game plan. They benefited from those 2 own goals off of Portuguese defenders, of course, and in less than 5 minutes as well. That really killed the game for Portugal, I thought. They were just kind of hanging on at that point. Germany took a 2-1 lead into the break, and they came out even better in the second half, really. I mean, goals from Kai Havertz and Robin Gosens are on the score sheet. Gosens was amazing. Without a certified number 9 heading into this tournament, personally, I didn't know if Germany would score 4 goals in the group stage, considering their opposition, let alone score 4 goals in one game again against Portugal, just like in Brazil 7 years ago. You Portuguese supporters don't need to be reminded of that. Poor Rui Patricio. My brother had the best description, actually, of Portugal after that first half. He said they looked like they were hungover. Well, for Portugal, thank goodness Rui Patricio didn't join them at the after hours because he had so much work to do, the Portuguese keeper. Look, I'll go into much more detail about Germany, I promise. But one more note about Portugal. There was no connection between the defense and the attack until Renato Sanchez came on. And it's amazing that it takes a player like that, and he's the player to do that. I don't know if that means he should absolutely start from the beginning. I feel as though that there's a way to do that without Renato Sanchez being just that guy, but that's really the only time we saw a connection between the back and the front for Portugal at all. So now everything is on the line in match day 3 in Group F, just as we expected. But if you pick Portugal to win Euro 2020, you got some real doubts about them now after that game on Saturday. Portugal close out the group stage against France. You also probably don't need any reminding. Well, Germany, they can punch their ticket to the last 16 with a win against Hungary. Hungary, fresh off one of the most incredible days in Hungarian soccer history. Attila Fiola's not going to have to pay for a drink in Budapest for a long time, I think. And if not for Antoine Griezmann, this would be a very different show. We'd be talking about a completely different game. It was a defensive error that led to that lone French goal. You're taught as a young defender not to let the ball bounce. Hungary didn't do that. It's dangerous when you've got attackers like Kylian Mbappe and Antoine Griezmann around. Very few young defenders grow up learning how to play defense against opposition like that, but in that moment, France made them pay. And if not for Peter Galassi, France would have found a winner again. I mean, this ended in a draw, but this was very much a party for Hungarian soccer and will be celebrated as a victory for Hungarian soccer, not just in Budapest, but all over the country and all weekend. Very happy to be joined on Headers and Footers by one of my co-hosts on Footy Prime, Canadian Sports Hall of Famer. You've seen him on TV forever. Canadian national team goalkeeping legend, Craig Forrest. Craig, Portugal, Germany. Did that knock Netherlands and the Ukraine off the perch as being the best game at Euro 2020 so far?
Absolutely, it did. Yeah. I was actually, thinking, should I put my German shirt actually on while I was doing this? But then I thought, out of respect for you and your Portuguese, or what, they might think I'm actually really like a German fan, which, hey, going by the way they played today, as a neutral, I was a fan of that. You have to be too. I mean, they played really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the polo shirt kit that Portugal's wearing, so I thought I'd wear a maroon looking polo shirt to just kind of show where my allegiance is at. But you're right. I mean, Germany were very scintillating to watch for the neutral, especially. And this is the most, Germany's been criticized for being so inconsistent since they won the World Cup in 2014. This is the best that I've seen them play, and they were absolutely lethal. They ran at Portugal. They were confident, even after conceding the first goal, which was a great counterattacking team goal by Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo with another one to close in on Ali Dai's record. And I just thought that Germany weren't phased whatsoever. Their width was incredible. They stretched Portugal at all costs. That Portuguese back line had no answer for their intensity or their shape.
Yeah. It's interesting, when you go back to the World Cup when Germany don't even get to the knockout stages, and they had faith with Joachim Löw to stick with them, at least for this time. I think he's been 15 years with the program. They do tend to stick with their managers if they are successful and they work hard. And the whole program in Germany, the league system as well, is it's a pyramid system that really works toward the top, and which is the national team. So you never can count them out. And the coaching ability of Joachim Löw, obviously at the international level, is very, very good. He's managed to get it right more times than he's got it wrong. So from that standpoint, we kind of expected that they, would be a solid team, but would they be an actual team that could put the ball in the net and really challenge and get opportunities against the better teams? And I think they proved that today. They were excellent. They were exceptionally good in the way they controlled it and the way they attacked. And so it's good to see from the German side. And I just look at this tournament, and it's even the favorites. France are still favorites after the result, and they're still like 4.5 to 1 or something like that. So it's a tough pick. Really is. Even the second favorite, I think the Italians are like in England are 7 to 1. It's a tough one to pick.
Well, I think Germany came into this, with so many question marks, a team in transition, Jogi Löw being his last tournament, almost feeling like maybe he's kind of a lame duck coach there, and not having a traditional number 9. We're used to seeing Miroslav Klose or Mario Gomez, and they started Serge Gnabry in the middle up top, which I thought would pose to be a problem for Germany, not for Portugal, because he seems so much better off the wing. But again, those wing backs, Robin Gosens was the man of the match.
Yeah, he was outstanding, wasn't he? Like, just really, really good. I mean, you people that watch Serie A would know him quite well, right? At Atlanta, great player, great for the national team, and has been a star player for them. So, it's great to see, and you'll probably see more of that moving forward, and that'll be exactly what the German team will be looking for, moving as they try to approach the knockout stage. But everybody's still alive in the group. It's quite something.
They are. I do wonder what Fernando Santos does next, though. I wasn't surprised to see an unchanged 11 from the Hungary match. I was surprised to see 2 defensive midfielders in that lineup against Hungary. But against Germany, it seemed like it made sense. And they still conceded 4 goals. But I think the bigger questions are at the back. And I look at Pep, who may have taken a knock. He didn't look completely sharp, but I mean, he is 38. I wonder if bringing in 36-year-old Jose Font might be better for them.
Well, it's going to be a difficult decision for them. I think no matter what, I think they're going to protect the slower, older sort of defenders if that's the case. It's in going into it. If they lose 1-0, I think the goal differential is 0. They could potentially get through with that. So you don't want to get thumped and put yourself in a position where we all thought might happen in this group, and that's them, teams taking points off each other. So how they approach it's going to be a very interesting situation, because they could still get through going in third place like they did 5 years ago with 3 points and 0 goal differential. But that might be a too risky game to play.
Well, I thought that France got a lot of plaudits and a lot of praise for beating Germany in the first game, but I wasn't particularly impressed with France. I thought they actually looked better today against Hungary. They were unable to find a winner. Antoine Griezmann looked fantastic, heavily criticized at Barcelona, not often on the team sheet, but Didier Deschamps seems to choose him quite early on, one of the first names on the team sheet. He scored and perhaps was unlucky not to have found a winner. I think that France can go into this final matchup with a bit more confidence. I don't think they'll overlook Portugal. You can't, of course, but I think they'll be feeling pretty good about themselves, despite maybe some criticism for not taking 3 points against Hungary.
Yeah, that's true. But when you look at the situation, and it was so different than these players have even encountered over the last year or so, with a crowd as intense as that, it was extraordinary. I don't know if it's the right decision by the Hungarian government to do that, because I think their numbers are pretty high per capita, but it was a great atmosphere and an added to it. And it certainly lifted the Hungarian side. And, there's a passionate city and a passionate country for football. And it's been some 70 years or so since their heyday, when they beat England in 53, I believe, at home and away 7-1, I think, right? So It's been a long time, but they do have a rich history in the game, and they remember it well, and they certainly have taken to the national team, more so than they do at club football, because unfortunately the pandemic's hurt club football in that country as well. So the attendances have been down, but they certainly have got right behind their national program.
Yeah, they have. And fitting that match happened at the Puskás Arena, because it's the best Hungary's played since Puskás was playing for Hungary. The goal scorer, Fiola, runs over to this journalist on the sideline and destroys her workstation like the English bachelor parties destroy Budapest every weekend.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, right? Cheap flights, cheap beer.
I had a great bachelor party weekend, actually, an English bachelor party weekend in Budapest. But let me end on England, because you played in the Premier League for years. I know that you watched England-Scotland like everybody. What did you make of the Three Lions' performance against their old rivals?
Well, it wasn't great, was it? A lot of people, think because I played there, and I don't know my last name perhaps, but they just presume that I'm a fan of England. Well, I'm a fan of good football. And, I don't like to see, I love to see the way the Italian team are playing right now. Sometimes I don't like the way they're playing. I do respect how they play, absolutely, always, because they're just fantastic at tournament football. But for England, I feel that Scotland got it absolutely right defensively. And they knew that these players aren't used to it. They do come across it, those deep blocks at club football, Manchester City players, and against, Burnleys and whatnot will sit back in that block, but you're not going to see it all the time at club football, especially at home, because the fans won't put up with it. But Scotland made it difficult, and they just ran out of ideas. They weren't quick enough in movements, and that we've seen that before, and that certainly was going to be other teams that will watch that, thinking that if this is how we can get results against England, it'll be a good way to do it. Because Scotland still created a few chances of their own as well.
Yeah, I thought full credit to Scotland. And it looked like in the last 15 minutes, if there was going to be a winner, it looked like it would be Scotland. But I think Gareth Southgate, again, is going to be questioned for his ideas and perhaps lack thereof. Harry Kane did not look good whatsoever. And then I don't understand why Phil Foden came off for Jack Grealish. I mean, I feel like we're having the Gerrard Lampard conversation again. Oh, how do you fit them both in the same team? It's not the same comparison. I think you could absolutely play both of them at the same time.
I think you can too. You're just going to have that be a little bit brave doing it as well. And he's probably worried a little bit maybe defensively and his shape. But I think you could be brave enough to play them both. I think they're clever enough footballers too. And I think I'd like to see Grealish start because we know, and as a Villa fan, exactly what he is like. And the international football really, I think, suits him really perfectly.
Craig, I love talking with you on Footy Prime every week, and thanks for coming on Headers and Footers tonight.
My pleasure. Anytime, pal.
Craig, with that Spanish shirt behind him there, they're going to be banging their heads against the wall in Spain after that performance. Couldn't win again. And they had their chances again, the Spanish. I thought Spain would go with either Morata or Gerard Moreno, and Luis Enrique went with both against Poland, relegating Ferran Torres to the bench. You got to think that Morata's going to be the one on the bench in their last game out against Slovakia, which is on Wednesday. Guaranteed, Alvaro Morata is not watching highlights. He's avoiding social media completely. He's probably not talking to anybody after missing a wide open net after Moreno's penalty came off the post. Alvaro Morata looking like me at men's league. It was tough if you watch it back. I mean, it did take a bounce. It's not the easiest thing to do, but at that level, you got to finish that. And he'll be very regretful that he was unable to do so. I am very excited to get another look at Italy tomorrow. And I'm also excited to sleep in since there's no 9 a.m. kickoff again. So we start match day 3 on Sunday. Roberto Mancini can get creative. He can rotate a little bit. He's taking on a Welsh side that'll be hungry for at least a point, though, as they don't want to play the chance of finishing third in the group, but a lot to play for. Mancini comparing the Welsh side to Stoke City at a press conference, which Probably didn't sit too well with Gareth Bale, although I liked his comeback. He said he didn't know that Stoke were that good. So a lot of confidence in this Welsh side. And if he and Ramsey are on their game, as we've seen so far, they can do some damage. But, I mean, Italy look very good. And with the wealth of options, even on the bench, Italy's B team, something to fear. This tournament has been great. And hopefully that's what you've thought about this show as well. I've really enjoyed bringing you headers and footers every match night. Watch the show on YouTube. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for kicking it with me.